everybody, welcome back to the Be That Lawyer with Fretzin podcast. We are here to help you be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. As you guys know, this show helps you with marketing, with business development, with scaling, with culture, like anything that you're trying to accomplish as an attorney. There's a pretty good chance 475 episodes in that we've got speakers and interviews that are going to help you to be successful. Also, you're going to want to check out my blog, because what we're doing is blogcasts where we're taking these 20-page transcripts and we're truncating them down to like 750 words. It's like the bite-sized, taste of like what these interviews are. So if you'd prefer to read, go to fretzin.com/blog and you can check those out. What do you think about blogcast, Justin? Pretty good idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that can get your message out there in different mediums, absolutely.
Yeah, and I keep harping on everybody, repurpose. Like, you create a video, that's great. Where's the audio? Where's the written? Where's the transcript? Where's, how are you breaking that up into social media posts? And, lawyers really need to consider, you don't have to work so hard. You can just take a piece of content and just utilize it and repurpose it a dozen different ways. Is that something you've done? Have you found some success in like breaking stuff down and repurposing?
Yeah, absolutely. And across different different mediums, there's going to be different strategies, obviously, as well as the length of videos, the messages that you're trying to convey, because you have different audiences. So keeping in mind who your audience is extremely important. But I would subscribe to the fact that as many different mediums you can get your message out to would be great. You don't know exactly where your audience is looking, and they're probably looking at multiple mediums.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I know we're going to get into a lot of great topics today. Justin is joining us, and we'll introduce him in a moment. I just want to share his quote of the show, which as soon as I read it, I was like, that's A, I've never heard that one. B, I love it. I absolutely love it. The difference between try and triumph is a little umph. And that's Marvin, the late, great Marvin Phillips. I don't actually know that he's dead. I probably shouldn't be killing people off on my podcast. But anyway, thank you, Marvin, for that great quote. And so welcome to the show, Justin. And please tell us why you thought that quote was so wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you that I have a bunch of different groups that I'm in, and multiple friend groups that we talk about, what do we see as our future, looking 3-5 years in the future. And there's a lot of talk about action and taking action on reaching our goals, but none of that happens without actually taking action. And that umph and the quote from Marvin Phillips also stuck out to me, Steve, and you talk a lot on your show about, the steps of action and not just talking the talk. How do we walk the walk? And a lot of the people on your show are talking specifically about, what can you do to take those necessary steps? And I like to say, take the baby steps. If you don't believe that, you're going to make the right choice, right decision, like, you have to be ready to take those risks. But taking the baby step will minimize the risk.
Yeah.
On where you're trying to go and what you're trying to achieve.
I mean, a good example of that is I've been getting a lot of my clients onto LinkedIn, not to be on it, everyone's on it, but to like, hey, let's actually post something and let's do it again next week. And let's get into the habit of just doing one post a week. And then they get comfortable, right, with that baby step, to your point, Justin. And then the next thing you know, it's twice a week, it's 3 times a week. Now they're starting to build a real brand on that channel. So I love that concept of the baby steps. So Justin, you're the founder of Weinstein Legal Team. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be, and then we'll get into some meat and potatoes.
Sure. So I went to Nova Southeastern University for law school back in 2012. And I went into a couple of different firms, one smaller and one much larger. And I realized that they were doing things that didn't really resonate with my values and, what I wanted to achieve. And mainly it had to do with a focus on the community and the type of service as lawyers we're providing to clients. And we'll get into that, I guess, a little bit later. But ultimately, I ended up opening my own firm for those reasons, taking the good and then taking out kind of the bad, so to speak, from those firms that I saw. The community aspect is more about how do we best prepare our community and be proactive in legal matters rather than reactive? I truly believe that the people in our community deserve to be able to approach lawyers, approachable lawyers, for legal situations before they happen. And a lot of the marketing that you see out there is really posed toward an if-then scenario, which is if you're in an accident, call our law firm. If you're arrested, we could represent you. If your house has property damage, we can help you. But really, we need to be doing a better job, in my opinion, as professionals in the legal space of educating and helping our community be proactive.
Yeah. Terrific. And so I want to ask a question that I don't think I've ever asked before on this show. When you decide to go in to start your own firm, what would you say were your greatest fears going into it? And then here's the best part of the question because I just wrote it in my head. What were real fears that you actually realized, yeah, I was good. It was good that I was afraid and that I handled it. And then what were kind of things that you thought were scary, but actually ended up being a big nothing burger?
Yeah, definitely fear of failure, which is a big one, not just in business, but in life.
Yeah.
And how you approach that is everything. And I preach not only, to my staff, but my friends as well, that failures are learning opportunities. And really, there is no such thing as a failure if you view it that way.
Yeah.
You're still going to be here. You're still alive. You're still able to make, better and better decisions and get better. And that's what the really successful people do. Michael Jordan, right? There was a stat or something like he didn't make his high school basketball team or something like that. I don't know if you've heard this, but
yeah.
J.K. Rowling, when she wrote Harry Potter series, like she got rejected over and over and over again. So there's countless examples of the stars, the celebrities, the athletes, very successful individuals learning from failures and continuing to push forward and make sure that they learn from those as they continue in their endeavors. So that fear of failure was one that I think it's there, but if you treat it as that, it's really not a fear to be afraid of.
Yeah.
As far as what really is worrisome, it would have to be for a smaller firm. Cash flow is definitely worrisome. Making sure that you understand you're taking care of people's lives. Your staff are dependent upon you in making sure that business succeeds. And so making sure you keep an eye on your finances, what's going in, what's going out, to make sure that you're taking care of your team. Your team is the most important thing for a small startup or an entrepreneur. Your team is there that helps you succeed.
Yeah. And so when you think about the idea of starting a firm and then getting some people in place, building that team, what are some of the aspects of running a law firm that lawyers need to know about maybe before they start one, or maybe they're in one and they're just not hitting the numbers, they're not really getting it where they want it to be? What are some aspects that you could share that can alleviate either their fear or just give them some advice on how to really focus on what's important?
For me, it's doing everything we can to invest in the team and to show that you are invested in them, which means talking about things that maybe are not directly related to the business. What are their personal goals? How do you get in touch with the human aspect of your team? Every individual has their own goals. They see themselves somewhere different 5-10 years. Maybe that doesn't align with your firm. That's okay. But they have to understand that you're invested in their growth just as much as they should be invested in the firm's growth. And if they do decide to leave, make a plan in order to have them train whoever's taking their place. And they'll be much more accepting of that in the future. And that way your transition is easier. But, as far as your question, it's all about, making sure you see them as individuals. They all have different desires. They all have different needs as far as what they need to be productive and successful. And I do things a little bit, I think, different than most. I approach the firm more of it's a community that I want everybody here. When I first interview them, I say, I want you to be here for the rest of your life. And I kind of joke and I'm like, haha, that's funny. But really I do, because I saw in my previous firms that the number one killer of success was turnover. And if you're listening now and you've seen that in your own firm, maybe ask yourself why. What's going on in that firm to make people want to leave? Because the cost of training, the cost of finding new talent, and what happens if you don't find the right person to have in that role? It's very expensive. So we want to make sure people feel comfortable in their work environment. It's their second home, right? They spend more time here than their house. So what can we do to do that? And we have a number of things we do here at Weinstein Legal Team.
But I think even before you get into the training and the culture and the things that would keep someone there, there's probably some things that need to be done in the hiring process that helps you to understand that they're aligned with the firm. Because if you think about the turnover, some of it might be poor management or leadership, but then it also might be that you were so desperate to bring in somebody that you didn't really see how they align with you as the owner and the culture that you've built.
Yeah, and we learn those things over time. One of the most important questions that we talk to potential applicants would be about if they have community involvement at all, because it is a center point of our firm. And that community involvement itself will show a lot of different characteristics of the person. Are they able to show empathy, be genuine, be able to be a caring person? We're dealing with people that are in the roughest situations in their life. We're talking about people that have been injured in accidents. We're talking about people that have been arrested, their liberties at stake. We're talking about people whose homes have been destroyed in major disasters. And so they come to us as guides in this legal situation. But also, as everyone knows who's a lawyer out there, they ask a lot of different questions that maybe are outside of your realm of expertise. They ask you to be maybe a spiritual guide. We have had clients that talk a lot about their belief in God and, oh, I can't believe this happened. Thank you, Jesus. And thank you, whoever they believe in. Are you able to connect in that way with someone? That connection is the key to making that client then realize, okay, they're treating me as not just a number, not just a transaction. I am a human being. They see me as that. And anyone that they talk to that maybe needs legal services, they're going to remember us. And that's the point in creating raving fans. And it starts with the hiring process, as you just mentioned, Steve.
Yeah. One of the most frustrating things too is when, and this just happened to me. So I'm in a new home the last couple of weeks, and we just had to have our floors done, which is never fun. And the guy did a great job, but he was a total dick. He just was not a good, nice guy. He didn't have any customer service. He wasn't friendly. He just would count my money in front of me and give me a look. It was like, how is this even possible in 2024, 2025 that people are so clueless about how business works? And I didn't feel like a person. I felt like a number, like he just needed to get through me to get that cash, to get the money and get out of there. And I was like, you did a great job. I don't understand what's going on here. So I think there's something, obviously, if you're expecting to get referrals and you're expecting to get business, there's the basic level customer service. Are there things also, Justin, that you're doing to stay in touch with your clients and to make sure that they're feeling special even after the matter is concluded?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Actually, it's probably my primary focus as the leader of the firm to bring in leads and to make sure that we are nurturing our client relationships. One thing that comes to mind is we recently promoted someone in our marketing team to be a designated client relationship manager. Now, obviously, there's plenty of firms out there that use CRMs and those tools. And those are really good. But we want a face, someone to contact these clients years later and continuously be in touch with them. So we've created a whole separate role for just that. We want them to understand they're part of our quote unquote law firm family, that we care about them after something has been resolved legally. And that way we stay top of mind and they understand that, okay, again, I wasn't just a transaction. I'm more than that to these people, and they show that every day. So that client relationship manager role, if I had one piece of advice in adding to maybe a smaller startup firm or someone looking to grow exponentially, that's going to bring in leads and it's not going to cost much.
Yeah.
The other things we're doing is, I don't know if you've ever heard, there's, the very popular book, New York Times bestseller by Will Guidara called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yep.
Now that's not in the legal field, but it's service-based, and I understand that all of the stories and things that come out of this book in regards to unreasonable hospitality is becoming memorable and doing unbelievable things for clients where they say, oh my God, I was not expecting any of this. And they remember it forever.
Yeah.
So that client relationship manager is also in charge of our legends department. How do we do this for people to where it's like, holy, unbelievable. It's a legend.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's just an underutilized part of the business of law or any business when it isn't handled properly, or there isn't something beyond the matter that's keeping you connected. I try to do for my clients, for example, inviting them to events, inviting them to networking groups, making sure that I'm reaching out to them to say, hey, here's my auto scheduler. You want to meet a one-on-one? We haven't worked together in 10 years, but if you want to meet me for a one-on-one to catch up and help you plan for 2025. So I'm continually trying to stay in front of the good people that I've helped over the years. And I think more lawyers need to think about not just the matter, but what they can do to keep that relationship alive after it.
Yeah, if I may add, also that client relationship manager is so vital because not only did they stay on top of being top of mind for past clients and potential others that associate with those people, they can get into details about key events in their lives and understanding who they are. And that's where the legends come from. Like, what's going on? Did you have a baby? Did you move? Job change? Those sorts of things. And just also read a book recently called, about Michael Ovitz. He was the co-founder of CAA, Creative Artist Agency. And one of the things that came out of that book was how detail-oriented of a connector Michael Ovitz was. And it was just a fascinating read. I highly recommend it. He was the connector between so many different movies that you've heard, from directors to the actors, producers, writers. And it was just fascinating to hear some of the stories. But he was extremely detail-oriented, which is what I'm putting here in the firm.
Yeah, really great stuff. And so I want to take a step back to something we brought up earlier. Like, you're mentioning the team and you're mentioning your connection with your players and all of that. What are you doing and recommending other law firm leaders do to build a strong law firm culture? Because if we were trying to avoid turnover, having a strong culture may be more important than somebody making an extra 20 or 30 grand somewhere else, right? So there's things that will tie them to you through that culture. So what are some cultural things that you've found to be really successful?
A couple of things. First, there's the saying about, the leader is really a representative of, and it comes from the leader. I don't remember the exact quote, but the leader is what instills the values of the firm, and it comes from that leader. So basically, if you have ventured out on your own to open your own law firm, you obviously have some business knowledge. You have taken risk. I mean, even if
maybe no business knowledge, but maybe an entrepreneurial spirit.
The entrepreneurial spirit. You've read something, or something has gotten you to this point where you said enough is enough. I can bet on myself, which is a huge bet. It's a gamble.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the best that there is, in my opinion. And if you impart some of that knowledge to your staff in whatever way you see, if you have a morning meeting and you tell them a little bit about that fear of failure that you first had, or your first success story when you went on your own, something that you thought you couldn't accomplish, but then you did. Some of those things. And by the way, we share that every Monday morning meeting. We have success stories. Because we have different departments, I want the different departments to hear about the success of the other departments, whether that's marketing, our personal injury department, property, criminal defense. I want them all to be able to understand we're accomplishing unbelievable things and to share in those victories. So we do that Monday mornings. But if you're an entrepreneur and you went out on your own, you took that decision, which is a big gamble, okay, you have to understand you will continuously learn either from your failures and your actions, okay, or you're learning from books or podcasts like this or other mentors or maybe masterminds or things like that. Impart that knowledge on your team. Bring that knowledge to your team. Show them that you're invested in their growth, and they're going to take you to new heights, right? The other thing is make it as comfortable as possible for them to be here in the workspace. Mm. Now, we did remote very minimally after COVID, and then everybody came back, and I understood from the get-go, we need to make it a place that people feel comfortable. They want to come here. They enjoy being here. So frequently I'll have people bring their pets by as long as they tell me in advance. They sometimes will want a particular heater for under their desk or a particular type. As you see, I'm standing here during this podcast. We have stand-up desks. I actually built a little exercise and gym facility in the back of our office. Anyone is able to use that. I'm very into fitness myself, so I'm hoping that people take advantage of that, which they are. And I just want them to feel like very, very comfortable. Yeah. And that way they're able to give you their best. Because if they're not, you've been in a situation where, you know what, this doesn't feel right. I don't want to be here. The temperature's off. I'm not comfortable with my chair, my seating arrangement. They just don't do the best work. They don't show up the way they could.
I've got a little bit of an off the show type of a question for you, but when there is, ultimately we're dealing with people, and when we're dealing with people, it's not always, kisses and hugs, right? Sometimes there's arguments, sometimes there's disagreements. When you see internal politicking, or when you see a disagreement between two personalities that are very strong or whatever it might be, how do you as a leader address that? Because it's something that, I'm sure, irks you because you've developed such a great culture and you've developed, such a great team, but it can't always be, again, roses.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. If there's multiple people in a group that are disagreeing about something, I would want to hear everybody out, bring the group together and talk it out almost immediately. One thing I know is that you can't let these types of things fester. Yeah, you can't because people. You're right. They're just human beings, but people do hold grudges, whether consciously or subconsciously, and ultimately we need to get to the root of the problem. And a lot of times it's not anything that's personal. Behind my computer here, I have a saying on a piece of paper. It's "Don't take anything personal," and that's from the 4 Agreements, Miguel Ruiz. It's one of them, and I stress this almost every day to all my staff. Because whether you're taking a phone call from an adjuster or an angry client, or you have a spat with a colleague, just remember, right now, when we're in this office, for the most part, it's business related, and they're not there to attack you. And so if they can remember that, and you continuously put that in their minds, it's much easier to get to a resolution.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. And also, you don't know what's going on inside somebody's head. You don't know what kind of day they've had. You don't know. We just got a couch delivered today, and in the middle section of it, it's a section on the middle section of it's the wrong color. Like everything's right. We've been waiting for this couch for 8 weeks for to put in this new home we're excited about. And it's like, we don't know. They don't know, like my wife could be having a terrible day and now she's yelling at them and they think it's their fault. It's not, they're just delivering the couch. So I think we have to also look inward and just, realize, everyone's having a different day, a different week. And we've got to be, just open-minded to, hearing them out and getting it resolved. But I love that you said, handle it right away and not let it fester. That's really important.
Yeah. And to piggyback off that, I know I mentioned clients and adjusters. A lot of the same rules for your staff go for clients because they're all human beings. So if you are a new lawyer that's going out on your own, or you have a small team already, learning about human psychology, being able to diffuse conflict is very, very valuable. So if there's one thing I would suggest looking up or reading about or podcasting, like Steve has plenty on, I would look at some of those past podcasts about conflict and interoffice conflict, and that would be an excellent way to become more successful in whatever you're doing with your team.
Yeah. And how does everything that you've accomplished or that you accomplished maybe even a few years ago lead up to, and this will be kind of our final question, like helped you scale? Because that's one of the greatest concerns is for solos and even for small firm owners is like, all right, so I'm at 10 people, great, or 5 people, but how do I get to 20, 30, 40, 50, multiple offices? What have you found to be sort of one of the recipes for success and looking to scale, even if it's, doubling a staff of 5 to 10?
Yeah, it's all about relationships. They're absolutely everything. I know you've touched about this on a lot of podcasts, a lot of different brilliant minds, but you have to be able to be personable. People like you, want to do business with you. They respect you. So anywhere you go, another thing that I tell everyone in the office is everyone is a potential client, every single person. And that also starts with the hiring process. We talked about that earlier. One of the questions I ask is about, where did you grow up? What's your social network like? Because as you grow, you want to expand the people you're able to connect with, right?
Yeah.
So a big positive would be someone who lives and has grown up somewhere very close to my offices.
Yeah.
That's just a factor we look at. But honestly, a lot of our referrals, a lot of our leads, they come from within. And people are genuinely interested in seeing the success and growth of the firm because they know I've invested in them.
Yeah. So relationships allows for the hiring and the implementation and the retention of your team and expanding out as a principle of scaling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts with treating people as human beings on the staff. Then something I touched on a little bit earlier was cash flow. Obviously, in order for you to hire, you need to be able to have that cash flow and understand. I believe Dan Martell says it, but every hire that you hire, it needs to have a 10x return on investment of what you're paying them. Sometimes that's hard to calculate. It's tough to see as an entrepreneur. Okay, this person, I want to create a new role, or I want to hire for a case manager. Great. Are they going to be able to produce? That doesn't necessarily mean bring in cases, but produce to the effect of getting the cases where they need to go, closing them out, and being an integral part of that process to where I am making a good enough return to justify it. That's the game we play. It's an equation thing when you're a brand new lawyer going out on your own and trying to figure that out. But the cash flow thing, I have multiple bank accounts. And every time I deposit, I'm making sure that I have a good reserve base. Because the more you have a cushion, you feel safer. And then you feel safer taking risks. And the risks often produce very large gains.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at, almost 10 years later.
Got it. Hey, real quick question before we wrap up. You've got a pin on your shirt and it seems important to you. You put it there. What is the pin?
Yeah, this is our firm motto. The law of we is all about you. So it's a symbol to everyone in the firm that we put our community and our clients first. And we talked a lot about it earlier when I introduced myself, but I do believe that we have an obligation as lawyers and professionals in the legal field to be approachable to our community before things happen so that they can be educated, educate themselves, and be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
So a lot of that about our firm is centered around community and giving back. We've donated over $100,000 this year to charities, local nonprofits, and we're very, very much community focused. And that's what this pin is about. It also symbolizes empathy, one of our core values. Understanding people are human beings. There's a lot more to them than just a number or a transaction. And that's what we're instilling in everybody here. And that's what we're portraying to the outside world.
Well, I think you're someone to, emulate. There are lawyers listening that are, maybe in a different position, but I think everybody can appreciate everything you've said today. I know resonated with me, and I hope resonated with my audience that this is what the practice of law is all about. This is what the business of law is all about. And I just want to give you some credit that you're really, the things that you have said today and the things that you've totally bought into, and I think your team has bought into and your clients have bought into, really impresses me. So thank you so much, man. And let's wrap up with our game-changing book. This is one that is an oldie but a goodie, Never Eat Alone.
Yeah, by Keith Ferrazzi. It was unbelievable. And I go over this with some team members at my office here, but it has some of the best suggestions on how to build and use your network to scale and to grow into anything that you want to accomplish. And I highly recommend looking into this. I actually have a personal outline I made of mine that if you don't have the time to read, you don't like to read, I think it's like 13 pages. I'd be happy to send it out to you because I do think it's that valuable.
Yeah. Much appreciated, man. I love that. I love that. As we wrap up, I want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Law Her podcast. You guys want to check that out and listen to my friend Sonia Palmer interview some of the most incredible women in law and get their ideas and tips and takeaways and secrets. And of course, Rankings.io, our friend Chris Dreyer, who runs a great podcast and also a great business. And I talked to him the other day, and he just continues to impress me as someone who's never stopping. He's always moving forward with the next great thing. And so I'm just impressed by him as well. And I just want to let everyone know, if you enjoy the Be That Lawyer podcast, please give us a strong review on Apple. We're looking to continue to build our audience and help other lawyers around the world. So, 2 minutes of your time could make a big difference in how this show continues to produce and expand and help other lawyers like you. So, Justin, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to work for you, they want to network with you, they want to hang out with you and check you out, what are the best digits?
Phone number would be 833 Law of We, LAWOFWE. That's the office line. But on any social network, my Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, that stuff, JP Weinstein or my name. You can also email me, justin@weinstein-legal.com. And I'd be happy to share any of the books that I talked about, podcasts, obviously Be That Lawyer, anything else I'm listening to. But I thoroughly enjoy what you're doing, Steve, and I want to do and will continue to do the same, helping younger or even similarly situated lawyers get better is what you're doing, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I thank you for that, and it's a lot of fun if you can enjoy something and helping a community and also have fun doing it, which it sounds like you're doing as well. Then everything sort of works out. All the information about Justin is in the show notes too, everybody. So check that out. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your wisdom, collaborating with me. We'll do the podcast, we'll do the YouTube video, we'll have the blogcast put out pretty soon. And we'll continue to add value for the legal community and industry at large. So thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. Willing to do it again whenever you want to connect again. Absolutely.
All right. I love it. I love having the repeats. And thank you, everybody, for spending time with Justin and I again on the Be That Lawyer with Fretzin podcast, helping you to be that lawyer every single week, twice a week. Take care, everybody. Be safe, be well. We'll talk again soon.